Yo, what's up, guys? This Topic's here, and it has been a very long time since I did a commentary. Um, Probably haven't done a commentary in like a month and a half or something like that. But today we are here with a plus 19 streets commentary. Um, I'm assuming this will be very beneficial for a lot of players since, the highest key I did a commentary on was 15, and here we are at 19s. So let's get this going. Um, I am going to try and keep this like hopefully to 15 minutes, so I'm going to be skipping some parts that are kind of irrelevant, but I'm going to be talking through the important parts because I think that's what matters. So here we go. So starting off, you want to make sure that you have like a defensive going into this pull. It hits really hard, and make sure that you charge in immediately and get aggro. You don't want these things snapping to other players. Um, this mob actually does a ton of tank damage. So this proxy strike tank buster, you want to pop like wall and spell reflect for that every time. If you don't have wall, you can do like last stand and spell reflect. You could also send rallying cry on the AoE on this mob. This mob just does a ton of damage, so you just want to be careful of that. I'm gonna skip forward here. All right, so this next pull coming up here. So I think in low keys it's probably done a lot differently, but in high keys, what you want to do, and this is my suggestion, do not let anyone convince you otherwise unless you're doing like a rank 1 plus 22 or something like that. But I would mark a caster like I did here with Skull and focus it down. Because I'm going to be tagging in the mini boss here. And playing the mini boss with these two casters and a pug with no comms is just asking to die because there's two kicks here, and then the mini boss also has another kick. Plus, you're going to be dodging the beam splicer and the frontals from the mini boss, plus dodging the grenade. So there's just a ton going on. There's that proxy strike tank buster from the overseer again. So you can just see how this can get very hectic. So as you see, we killed off a caster, and now I tagged the mini boss. Which this is still a hard pull, right? There's a kick from the officer, a kick from the mini boss, and there's the overseer doing the tank buster and the beams that you have to dodge. So I would just recommend killing down a caster before you pull in the mini boss, right? And then you want to do as little movements as possible, right? You don't want to be doing these huge movements because you want to make sure that your melee are continuing to be in range to kick. So do these little micro movements that you see me doing here. That's how you want to play this. So I'm probably going to skip the rest of this. Okay, so we're just finishing the mini boss, and I want you guys to see this next pull I do. Told my group to stay here. This next pull that I do is actually really important. You want these two overseers, and then the 3-pack with the caster and the boss. You see I'm like carefully dragging these so that I don't aggro that 2-pack there. The reason you don't want to play this 3-pack with this 2-pack is because there's going to be 2 securities and 2 specialists. So the securities, like one of the mobs throws a grenade on the floor you have to dodge. The other mob does like a stacking tank debuff. And so you would not want to pull all this together plus these 2 overseers that are doing tank busters. It's just going to be a lot on the tank on high keys to live. So these are the mobs that I pull into boss. So I'm just getting aggro on this, and then I'm going into boss. I don't know if there's a whole lot I'll talk through on boss. Obviously, kite the boss out of the beam splicers that get spawned, and obviously out of any ground mechanics. So you see the beam splicers spawning kind of right where we're standing. I'm just going to try and move this out of the way as best as possible. Make sure you have a defensive for the proxy strikes. It's a double proxy strike here. It's 2 overseers, so you see how much damage I just took. You can easily get one shot by those double proxy strikes if you do not have wall on a high key. So just be aware of that. Another thing to talk about as someone butt pulls. So let me talk about this. So this is actually the mob I was probably going to pull next, but ideally you want to finish off the original trash you pulled before you pull this mob. Just because this is a lot, right? And you want to be able to like constantly tag in funnel for your DPS classes. So this definitely was an accident, but I was going to pull this 2-pack next anyway. It's just a little bit early. And there's just a lot going on. But as we finish this off and I try and find a safe spot for my group to play, which, as you see, now that we have all these extra ads, it's just even harder. Um, the composition here matters a lot. I honestly believe with the right composition, you can probably... I'm surprised our group actually lived this, not gonna lie, watching this back. With the wrong composition, this first area can easily take like an extra minute and a half. The more DPS that get trapped in the cages on the first boss, the longer it's going to take, right? Because that's less DPS on the boss, and you're just taking 20 seconds to DPS down the cages. So I would recommend always having at least one DPS that can immune or get out of the cages, ideally two. So DK can immune every single one with AMS. So I think you just always want to DK in this key. You know, unfortunately, DK is so broken, can cheese so many mechanics, unkillable, has grips. It's just so good in M+ right now. But I'd recommend bringing one of either a hunter or mage. Hunters can turtle. Can turtle the first cage. They might actually get a second turtle on the fight as well to immune the cage. They can also fiend death when they get targeted, and then the boss won't target them anymore, and then the boss might target the DK again. So it's almost like redirecting the boss to target the DK when the hunter fiend deaths. The mage, if they talent out of Shimmer and play Blink, they can just blink out of the cages too. So Paladin can bubble the cages and not get one. So I would just recommend bringing one, if not two, classes that can immune or get out of the cages. And then we're going to tag in the rest of this funnel here. So I don't think there's much else to talk about. So let's move on here. So this next part, I think the most important thing here is just that your team is baiting the frontals from the hounds, because if both frontals are in different spots, it can cover the entire circle area that you have to play in, and then there's nowhere to stand. So as you can see, I pinged myself to kind of stand towards the left because we want the frontals baited this way so that we can move this way. So you'll see that worked. They're baited over there, and then you just move this way. So that's what I'd recommend doing. And then obviously you got to kick the hounds, and you want to move this mini boss out of the beams when they spawned. As you can see, I just moved it kind of the opposite direction where the beam spawned. DPS always get hit by this stuff. I don't know what it is. I'm not a DPS player, so I'm sorry guys if this is really hard. But yeah, they just always get hit by the beams for some reason, even though it takes like 2 seconds to spawn and they move kind of slow. Yes, that's kind of how you play this. And then towards the end of this fight, you do want to like back up enough over here so that that other, like, I think it's the dinosaur ad spawns, because you actually want it to start moving towards the downstairs. So you can see I just kind of backed up so that this dinosaur spawns and goes downstairs. We're going to finish off this fight. I pinged there because I want someone to start the roleplay. If you stand by this door for like 2 seconds, it'll actually start the next boss's roleplay, so you don't have to wait for it when you get to boss. But anyway, I'm going to grab these night claws and tag the dinosaur that's now down here since we spawned it early. And I'm just going to back up, jump onto this crate, onto the cart, and everything snaps to me. I do have a video on this tech if you want to look it up. It's basically what I just showed right now, so you're not going to really see much more if you watch the video. But essentially this prevents the dire hone from charging people, which just helps a lot mitigating damage on this pull. So we're going to skip this. Next, I tag in these two Peacekeepers, and we go right into second boss here. Peacekeepers are just for a little funnel. Funny enough, we actually don't really have funnel classes in this comp. BM's not really funnel, and neither is Destral Lock, so... let's see, what is there to talk about here? Grand Consumption, you just move out, wait for the first circles to go away, and then move out again. Typically, if you're playing this key properly, you will be able to lust at some point. If you're on pace, you'll be able to lust at some point in this fight. Preferably, the second guy, in my opinion, is the worst, because he's the one emitting all the orbs. So yeah, I like lusting the second guy that jumps down, in my opinion, is the best, and we're probably going to have lust perfect time for that. So a bad overlap that happens on this boss I want to talk about too is Al Crooks is like doing the Grand Consumption here, but you can get this Grand Consumption mechanic while, I don't even know how to say this boss name, Acolyte, while Acolyte is doing the orbs. So if a DPS dodges towards Acolyte while he's doing the orbs, they're going to get one shot. So I think he's about to do the orbs in a second here. I know that's flagellation protocol. Yeah, this venting protocol is the orbs I'm talking about. If you get the venting protocol here while grand consumption is going on, you have to be really careful where you dodge and make sure you dodge away from the orbs and not towards it. Yeah, Les is going to be coming up in a second, so I'm just going to kind of keep moving here. And you see how I'm playing Acolyte to the edge here? Because when he dies, he's going to constantly emit orbs. And if you play him close to the wall, then you're kind of negating all these orbs that go into the wall, and you only have to worry about this area. You don't want him in the middle of the room or anything like that. So he dies, not completely against the wall, but he's off to the side enough. And this is about where you want to play the third person that jumps down, Gold Fuse, because whoever has the debuff, which right now it's me, this like swirling blue stuff, this eats the orbs. So by positioning the third guy kind of close to where Acolyte died, a DPS or tank, whoever has the debuff, can position themselves between Acolyte and Gold Fuse to kind of eat the orbs and make sure the floor stays relatively clear. So as you can see, I'm, kind of eating these orbs here. And last thing, tank can actually stand in this no problem. Sometimes you might want to press a wall if you're a little scared, but you can stand in that and just continue to get uptime on DPS. So we're going to finish off the fight. Okay, next thing is I came out of second boss area here, and I tagged the mini boss Zofar up there and the two peacekeepers on this side, and I brought them back. And once I have that established, I'm actually going to tag this Sparkcaster and this other peacekeeper, and this is kind of the pull. You want to be pulling trash onto Zofar anyway, because just playing him by himself is just kind of troll and high keys, so this is very doable. It's just one kick. And then, obviously dodging the grenades on the floor. Make sure that when you get power kicked as a tank, you do not get kicked into a grenade, and that's about all there is. And because you pulled the ads that were like over here with boss, you have this entire hallway here to play this mini boss. So it's a lot of room. You don't really have to worry too much about it. Because as you see, the new grenades or the mines are about to come out, and we have a lot of room to just keep moving down this hall and playing this boss. So I'm probably going to skip this until we're basically done. So now that we're done, go this way. And you want to skip this solo peacekeeper. This mob placement is so bad. You always want to skip this. So you can DH prison it. You can rogue sap or shroud. You can also have the hunter go first, trap go first, and then once the whole group's through, the hunter feign deaths. You can also have a priest mind soothe this, or an evoker can sleepwalk it because it's humanoid. So those are just some of the ways that I can think of that you can do that. So basically you always want either DH, rogue, hunter, priest, or evoker in one of your groups when you do this key. So yeah, the hunter went first. We're all going to pass. Then once we're past, the hunter's going to feign death. And then we're going to play these mobs first that you pull into the hall. So I just thunderclap over there, and I think taunt and throw a couple axes over here. And then how I like playing this is I jump up onto this little thing and then face outwards. This is kind of where I like playing this mob. It kind of all gathers perfectly around the corner here. You see this, so. The most important thing about this is you got to stun the junk males from the male mentals. They'll pot shot people for like half their health bar. So if someone gets 2 of these, they could just easily insta die. You can see, like, as you watch these health bars go up and down. So other than that, this is a pretty easy pull for the tank. Not a big threat by any means. I do want to show this next pull. So once it's just the workers left, I hop over here and grab these 2 peacekeepers. Make sure that they path towards you and not into these guys. So just back up slowly. And then we're going to be dragging all of this into the next mini boss in the market area. So yeah, it was a good pat. The mini boss ended up being right here in the doorway. So we're going to play all these on the overseer. And then I think after these, I go and trigger the RP. Yeah, so I'm going to go trigger this RP. You essentially want to always be moving to the next zone in this. You never just want to stay stationary, fighting everything till they're dead and then moving. You kind of want to do this area as fast as you can while still surviving as a tank. Believe it or not, this is probably... I want to say this is probably the hardest area as a tank in this dungeon. These mobs do a lot of damage to the tank. So as this pack is finishing, we're kind of safe, so I'm going to start the next trash pull. Quick note also, if you ever get hit in the back by like any of these Lockies or strong arms, you can insta one-shot get killed as a tank, especially as Prot Warrior. These things do insane like auto attack and physical damage melees. If you ever get hit in the back, you will probably die from one of these, so make sure that they're never behind you. So I'm gonna go trigger. I don't know why I accidentally walked past. I'm like zoning out. This third pack that's about to be spawned is for sure the hardest one of the entire dungeon. You're gonna want at least a couple defensives. Thankfully, I have health pot coming up, 2 walls, spell reflect, and rallying cry. You almost want a defensive up for this entire pull. It just does a lot of damage to the tank. I think tanks will definitely get caught off guard with this pull on high keys. So you can also stun the strong arms if you need a couple seconds to just catch your breath type thing. So anyway, after we finish that, we go back to the mailroom and we're going to play the mail boss. One thing about this is I would at least get the mail mental to 50% before you pull boss. The reason why is because if this junk mail gets cast on someone while the boss's fan mail AoE is going off, they will probably get one shot. It's happened to me before. Do not let people rush you with this. This junk mail just gets spam cast, so you will not have enough stuns to stop this if you just pull it right into boss. It will get stun DR'd and it will end up casting on someone during the AoE and you will die. So you can kind of see, and if it gets to 50%, it'll die off before the first fan mail. That's kind of the split off there. So you see it's basically at 50. Now I'm going to pull boss. Because yeah, if this gets cast on someone right now, it doesn't matter, but you just don't want it cast on someone during the fan mail, so I'm going to go over soak this. I don't know why my screen is glitching like this. I didn't know the recording did this. So yeah, now you see the fan mails going off. We killed off that mail mental. Yeah, that's probably the only thing to talk about this fight. There's nothing else to talk about this fight. You got the AoE fan mail. The healer has to heal. And then you have the soak that's about to come out in a second. This money order soak. The whole group has to be in this, press a defensive. And other than that, it's just throwing the bombs in the pits. So I'm probably just going to skip the rest of this fight, to be honest. And after that fight's done, we head back over to the music boss and do this. Again, I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about here that's different on high keys. Some teams pull trash into this boss. I haven't done it yet. I don't think it's really necessary to do. It just adds a lot of extra coordination. A lot of people could die if you pull trash in on this because there's a lot to dodge and a lot to kick. So yeah, probably won't. Oh, the only thing I will say is this teleport. A lot of people don't know you can stun this to prevent the patrons from teleporting away. So you see I stunned it and they don't teleport. You can also vortex and binding shot and it prevents the teleport as well. So other thing is you can see I'm in battle stance here. Whenever possible, you can go to battle stance on this boss. This boss does like absolutely no tank damage. So this is one of those bosses you can definitely switch to battle stance for and get that extra crit value. So we're going to finish this off and we have like over 6 minutes, which is really good split. You probably only need about 4 minutes and 45 seconds left after this boss to time the key because it's going to take you 30 seconds to get over there and then the boss takes like 15 seconds to spawn, and it really is only like a 4-minute boss on high keys. So yeah, so you see it was about 30 seconds to get over, and then another 15 seconds before the boss is pulled. Now we have like 5 minutes to play boss. The only thing to really say about this boss as a tank is the phase slash. You need to have some type of wall for these. It actually trucks the tank, to be honest. So you can spell reflect, you can wall. If you don't have spell reflect or wall, I would like maybe last stand and rallying cry just for extra health. You can also impending victory, heal yourself through it. But yeah, that phase slash does a ton. Other than that, I think you guys all know that this is just a game of teleportation. This is a high key review, so I don't want to talk about basic stuff, mechanics that everybody probably knows by this point. And yeah, we're going to finish off this boss. And we had almost 2 minutes left in 19 streets with a little bit of low DPS from the lock. The lock only did 6.6 mil, so they got gapped by like 1.5 mil from the other two DPS. So you can see how, like, if you play this clean and do a lot of DPS, I mean, easily a free key on 20 for sure. But hey, thank you guys for watching. I do have another commentary coming out soon. I might try and do a couple more commentaries at the high key level, before this season comes to a close. So appreciate you guys. Leave a like and subscribe for more Prot Warrior and tank content. And see you guys in the next one. Peace. Shout out to all the Patreon members. It's because of your support that I'm able to continue making Protection Warrior and World of Warcraft content. Thank you.